When I get ready to do this, I'll put my knee on that, and that lets me put my upper body weight right over that, and I can put downward pressure or whatever I want on it, and it puts me in line with it, but this allows me to hold the board steady. So that's what that's for. You don't have to do that. You can use your foot if your back's not broke. This is your board, fireboard they call it. This, a good friend of Daddy's and acquaintance of mine, Anthony Tate, has spent his whole life in the woods digging ferns and plants and stuff. He got me some of this, and it's called pawpaw, and it ain't just everywhere, but thanks to him for that, because this right here, in my opinion, is the finest fireboard in this part of the world, as far as I'm concerned. But there'll be people that'll argue that point too. Okay, so that's your fireboard. Now, I'm not going to cut on this fireboard right now, but I'm going to show you how you prepare your fireboard. And I'm going to use this old stick here, which, by the way, this is Western cedar that's bought from the store for like cedar siding. And it makes a good fireboard too, but it's not native to this area, so I don't like to really use it. I do use it, but I don't like to do it on demonstrations. But just take your knife, or you can take a piece of flint, an arrowhead, or whatever that you've made, and get over here about a ½ inch or so from the edge of your piece of wood, your board, and just sort of rowel you out of little area there. I'll get you a little dimple down in there so that your spindle can get started where it won't roll around everywhere. And when you get that roweled out a little bit, then you can take your spindle, and I'm going to just use this board to show you. Take your spindle, you don't even have to put your thumb holes on there right now. Break my fireboard, and you don't have to worry about this. And we're not trying to start a fire here, but I'm just going to show you how you just burn a hole to get started down in there. You can already see a little bit of smoke coming off of it, and you're just getting a hole started. Okay, when you get that hole started, and you feel like that it's down in there far enough, which I really don't think that is, but I'm not going to use that. It'll get a little deeper like that hole right there. Take either your knife blade, or I happen to have a saw on this, and you can use a piece of flint with a teeth on it. That you'd have to know about flint knapping to do that, but you want to cut a V at like a 45-degree angle, kind of like down this way and down that way, like cutting out a piece of pie. And you want that to go about halfway, the point of that V to be about halfway into the center of that hole you started. So I'm going to cut that there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but you know what I'm saying, I reckon. I got right in a knot, of course. I didn't pay that dime for always whittle from you, son. You know? We're gonna try to get through that knot. A Swiss Army knife is a good thing to have, because this is real hard to do with these flints. See how I've got about halfway down in the hole there? I don't know if you can see there or not. Then we're gonna come back from another direction and cut our little piece of pie out. And what we have is our hole right here with our little piece of pie cut out in the center. And now, when our spindle turns in this hole, if everything's right, your downward pressure and your friction and your speed, this spindle and fireboard will burn off char. That wood will turn into char, and it'll fall off inside that notch, and it compacts it in there, it keeps it in one area and allows it to get to 800 degrees Fahrenheit. When it reaches 800 degrees Fahrenheit, it will turn into a coal. And that sounds crazy, but now it will, if you do it right. Once you get that pile of ground down woods, all it is, going, smoking, you'll see it, then you can stop and be careful with it and take your time, and then put it over in your bird's nest, just like we did with the flint and steel. And so anyway, that's the way you make your notch. I've already got a notch in this one. Same thing. I started a fire with this one just the other day, and so we're going to try it. And one more thing I need to talk about is this piece of leather here. It doesn't have to be brain tan. This is brain tan. I made this myself too. I kind of like to do things myself. So, and I've never tried this before, but this is some of that tender fungus that I used over on that other deal. I don't know if you didn't see it on the other one. This is a piece of tender fungus came off the locust tree, and we can take this and just grind a little bit off there. You better use your knife, but anyway, you can see where I've been grinding it. And I'm going to see that if that goes in that tender fungus, if I get a cold, it will extend in there and make it bigger. I know it will if I get a cold. So now we're ready to see if we can get one. And this is the fun part. And one thing I can tell you right now about this, don't forget to breathe. And don't get in a big hurry, although I do sometimes. Don't get in a big hurry because you'll wear yourself out before it's time. Okay, our battery went dead on us there, so we're back. Now, I think I was talking about this piece of leather. You want something, piece of leather or a piece of wood or a leaf or something. I like leather because it conforms to the bottom of your board, and you don't want any air space between your board and the bottom there. But this leather or whatever, leaf or whatever you're going to put under there, if you get a cold on there and you need to transport it to your tender bundle, you obviously don't want to try to pick it up by hand because it'll burn you for one thing, and it'll crush it for another thing, and you'll lose it. So you want something to catch that, and you can easily transport it. So that's what that's for. Now I'm just going to set this right on top of that pile of tender fungus. Now I haven't tried that before, but I'm going to try it. I believe it'll work. But who knows? This ain't exactly modern technology. So I'm going to, like I said, because my back's broke, I like to use a stick to hold that down with if I don't break it. And I got to get positioned just right so I can put just the right amount of pressure down. When I start, I'm not going to be fighting this like fire, no pun intended. I'm just going to go slowly until I see smoke. Just start warming it up. We may have trouble, but I don't think so. When I get right where my shoulders are kind of right over that, it helps me now. It's up to you how you do it. And I'm going to stop talking right now and breathe. Get a little smoke. Okay, we've got a coal. See, I stopped, we still got smoke. About the time you think you're going to die, you go just a little farther. You see it glowing? Can you see it glowing there? See that? So I'm not panicking. No need to get excited. You ain't going anywhere. carefully. Just give it a little air every once in a while. That's that. You know, what's big is a big raisin, and it's gonna get bigger. Gonna get bigger, I hope, in that tender fungus. Now, sometimes if I get stuck in there, it helps. Just take your knife or your piece of flint, whatever you got, and just separate it. You ain't gotta get in no hurry, just take your time. Just separate it from your board. And there you go. Now it's in your tender fungus. I'm gonna just cradle that, try to. I can let that sit there for a long while. You can smell that tender fungus burn. But I'm not going to let it sit there for a long while anymore. See how I'm able to carry that over there? That's the whole purpose of having that. Now we're going to dump this little mess right over in our little chicken nest here. Carefully. Get all the sparks out of it. And hopefully get some fire going here. I'm going to get over here close to the fire. Woo! There you go. Woo, it's hot. And that's all there is to it. And there's your primitive, two different styles of primitive fire making to get our fireplace kicked off.
I am a pilgrim and a stranger traveling through this wearisome land, and I got a home in that yonder city, good Lord, and it's not, Lordy, and it's not built by hand. Well, I got a mother, a sister and a brother who have gone to that sweet home, and I'm determined to go and see them, good Lord, over on, Lordy, over on that other shore.